around, top level 7s, half the people are sipped. You don't know what's going to go on there. We just can't officially assign people to it because of the SIP situation. Same thing with these numbers, but once we get beyond that, I don't care who's on the field. It's not my responsibility. We're witnesses. We are not. If we abandon a match, we don't determine who wins it or loses it. We don't pass judgment. If that guy's not sipped on your team and he can't play, he plays. And our job is to be a witness to say, yeah, that was the guy that played. I don't know if he's on the team or not, but that was him. So we don't have any control over who's on and who's off. As far as that stuff is concerned, I can't let that guy play because he plays for Sacramento and not San Jose, so he can't play. It's not for us to say. Stay away from those conversations. Guys, any questions of me? So many. They're not real.
How's it feel being an institution?
I think they're an organization. That's different.
Organization, okay.
I'm not organized.
Yeah, but you organization.
The good news about this system is that we can check on it how far in the past and how far in the future we want to see your assignments. So when I scroll down, I can see the last 5 or 8 games you did when I go to assign you to this one. So I can try not to have you, like Jim's going to do Davis women 2 weeks in a row. Just luck of the draw on that a little bit, but it is what it is. So I can see who you've been doing, so I can prevent that. And then it's set for 8 weeks in the past and 2 weeks in the future. I've cut it back to like 5 weeks in the past. Initially, it was organized by proximity to the match or something like that. I didn't realize it. And I'm like, this thing is an alphabetical. I can't find anybody. Until I figured out how to make it drop alphabetical by last name from A to Z instead of Z to A. And it won't let me assign you. If your game runs over by a minute into another game, then I can't assign you to the other game. So if it says the game starts at 1300 and ends at 1430, and the next game starts at 1430, you're already assigned and I can't assign you. So I have to go back and change the game to 1429 in order for you to free up for me to assign you to a game at 1430.
Or you just keep the software in it.
I'd like to shoot myself in the head, but it's not my call. Well, we are, but we have other things, and it's a bigger picture. It's like I said, it's working with USA Rugby, and I think a lot of it's just growing pains. I mean, I'll get used to it. It's still not as easy as the old system. James is in the ear of the guy that designed it a little bit. He's been grinding on him about getting the reports down. So I might be able to convince the guy to go, you know how you have the NorCal teams for home team, and then when you switch to visiting team, can you just put the NorCal teams at the top and then have a line and then go to everybody else? Because it's not often I'm assigning. I mean, yeah, we got BYU coming into town. We had Central Washington. We've got Glendale coming out to play BYU. We've got San Diego teams coming up, Cal Poly. We're using teams from out of the area, and it's good to have them on the system. But on the odd times I need that, over the 99% of the time I just need NorCal teams, it would be great if they just put those at the top before I had to scroll all the way down to the S's and get past everybody else.
A good proximity is going from an old accounting system going to QuickBooks, where you don't need everything. This has so much in it. And so for me, for billing, I've now done invoices for every team, for every club, for what referee use, literally in the last 10 days. And I think the first 4 days was for me trying to figure out what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And just trying to get through it. And now that I've got it, it's actually starting to click a little faster. That's a good system.
It's really hard to use it.
2 things. Game will be there, and if I assign a rep to it until they accept the game, it looks like that game is open. I've had a half a dozen emails going, hey, I see this game's available. I'll take it. Like, yeah, I've already assigned a rep to it. They just haven't accepted it yet.
Part of it is the users learning how to interact with it and giving themselves games, or giving us the data we know to know that you're available to assign a game. Because when we pull up the video or the link that says who's available, it will pull up. It'll default to who's available. So if there's nobody that's updated their availability, nobody's available. We got to then go in. So it requires you to go do that.
So there's 3 steps. As I'm scrolling to assign a match, like I'll click on the game and it says, click on referee, and then it'll take me to another page. I'll start with, Bruce Bernstein is at the top, and then I'll start scrolling down to, Scott Lewis. And the problem is that I'll get to those that are available first, and I'll see every game I'll see their last 8 games they repped, the next 2 games they've assigned. So I'm scrolling a long way that has everybody I've already assigned for that weekend. And if there's no overlap on time, it'll allow me to check, assign this person anyway. So it's kind of like you're doing the C side game, and then I'm assigning you to AR the A side game. And then I get down to another box altogether that just has a list of names, and it says these people aren't available. It'll give me a date as to when they last updated their availability, which is to say, if there's no date in there, I'm assuming you just haven't given me your availability. If there is a date in there, that means you told me you're not available that day. If I see a date, I'm not going to offer you the game. If I don't see a date, I'm going to go, well, maybe they're available. Let's see if they'll take it. But I've got those 3 separate sections before I even get to sending it out.
What's the default for availability?
Not.
Not.
If we can like limit it to available in one click.
Yep, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By default, it's available.
See,
They're all great.
I've never updated my availability because I know what it is.
I don't know which one. it is.
Okay, let's go on so that we can get through this. Okay. So some more controllables that we can talk about that you guys can do to instantly plan. When we look at this, first off, I gotta laugh at the one person who doesn't want to do a development plan. So I don't know who that is, but I got a kick out of it. We've got 54% have never developed created a development plan. Okay, that tells me that we need to show you how to create a development plan, and we've done that a couple years ago, but then we didn't do it last year. And again, using the LMS, it gives us that ability. So the first thing that, and I'll probably put it out next week, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to be given a link that assess your own abilities related to some factors. Okay. And you're going to grade those. So you'll give yourself, and it's a scale on 1 to 10. 1 being, I don't know how to do this at all, to 10 being, I don't need to focus on this. Okay. Once you get that, it's basically some data that it's going to collect, and it's going to give you a numerical evaluation. And then based on that, you're going to determine to focus on. Okay. Fairly simple. That's the way it starts. And then there will be another series of questions where you're actually creating your own development plan and document for a month to 4 months out. And I'll get that to you next week. But the goal is that this changes at the end of the season so that we've got more people that have a development plan. Development plan is not about, it's about controlling the controllables. It's not about the game you want. Any control over that, I'm sorry. But you can control the factors and things that you work on that will get you to get to that game that you want. Getting a St. Mary's Cal game, that's not a goal. That's an outcome. That's an outcome on hard work. The outcome is you get to be picked for that game. Okay, it's not a goal. A goal is next week I want to work on my tackle and make sure that I get all of my tackler rollaways correct, or that I identify the assisted tackler, or I count the number of guys that are on the ground and penalize if there's more than 3. Okay, those are factors. Those are controllable things that you can do. The game has nothing to do. Again, that's something that's given to you for hard work. So I'll set out the development plan, but then it's on you. We can create all of these things. One of the nice things about it, having this LMS and having all of these tools in here, it's there for you to utilize. It's also there for you not to utilize. Okay, we can create as many things as you want. You notice in this classroom that there's 4 teachers in there. Okay, my goal is not for me to continue to generate this. Lee Johnson is starting to generate some material. Lee Bryant is starting to generate the material. Okay, I want to fill this full of people that are knowledgeable about the game and can create some activities for you all to do. SMART goals, we also call them SMAC goals. We talked about this last year. SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable. What's the trigger? And we talked about triggers. Okay, trigger is something that initiates a response. So we'll talk about, I will put up a presentation and maybe it'll just be me talking about how to develop it, but then it's on you. And a SMAT goal is essentially, what am I going to do for this next game? If I'm going to work on getting away creating more space after the tackle has been secured and the ball is no longer in contest, great. So what am I going to do next? If I'm working on my running lines, entry at 45 degrees, we got to develop a trigger, and it's on you to develop a trigger. So we'll do that, but then it's on you to develop those goals and develop those things that you can do. Another controllable that you can control. How many of you actually participated at a rugby event, a rugby practice? That's a controllable. Eight people out of the 37 have never gone to a training. That's a controllable. That's something that you can do to develop your game and improve. How many of you, and again, how many of you participated in some sort of referee training?
These statistics are very different for Southern California reps.
Last season, were you provided access to any video of matches in which you were the referee? 64% said they've never given video. Means we got to get video to you. Find opportunities to get video. We're doing that with the solo shots. Okay, more and more teams are using video to do it, but you got to use those video. There's people here that are given video that don't do anything with it. That's on the person. Advantage is a huge resource. Have never logged into it or created an account. 22 out of the 37. If you don't have video, you got to have video. Right. But no, this is, yeah. Shh, hang on, one at a time, please.
You have full video and you have a match. How long will it take you to mark everything and upload everything? Because I heard it's very time consuming.
It is time consuming. It's that part of it is that self-reflective piece as well. Because after you code it, so there's an easy way to do it. And really what it is you're taking numbers down and you're going through the game so that you create a timesheet. And then you go back in and you code it. But it takes, for me as a coach, it takes, if I'm coding it, it'll take me probably an hour to code it. And then another, how long did it take you to code yours? Yeah. Better with it. As you get better with it. Now, we've talked about logging in and creating accounts, and there's been a few people that have created accounts we need to continue to work on, because you've got seven out of the 37 people said they have no desire. That's fine. That's on them. That's a choice. 32 people that would be interested in doing it if they knew more about it. Again, that's something that I can control. It's something that the society can control to get that information to you.
Like the law quiz, I'd sign up for that, but I have no idea how to follow those instructions to make that happen. Go to what account and do what with what thing? Huh? No, I can't do this. I can't make the light stop flashing on a VCR. I'm not going to sign up for the law quiz.
It's on a VCR.
So we're talking about the LMS. Okay. We're talking about the LMS, but and you're all recipients of the number of emails and communications that I've pushed out, and we've still got 13 people that say, I don't have any access to the LMS, but be interested in using it if I knew more about it. It's just going to take time for everybody to get accustomed to using it. Exchanges. Exchanges are one of those things that it's a great opportunity to develop. 7 people have gone on it, but if you see there's 13 people, traveling. Problem is, when we start asking you to travel, things come up. Hosting somebody going on exchange is another great opportunity because you're interacting with people. You got somebody in your house, you're talking about rugby, development opportunity.
Going on exchange, because the only reason you're there is to ref, so you were totally immersed in rugby when you're there.
Telltale one. How many of you participated in a fitness session? We had one today. 75%. Now we do this twice a year, but 75% of the society, and this is societies in the country, but 75% of us don't participate in a fitness session. Yeah. Yes, that counts. And then we did the same thing for referee coaches as well. Okay. But again, with those self-reflective pieces, 5% of the coaches that took the survey, so 39 people in total. Okay. 75% don't write in the journal. As a coach, as a teacher, how can if you're trying to get somebody to reflect on their game, yet you as a coach are not reflected on your practice, what is that nonverbal language that you're communicating? Okay? That it's okay, I want you to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Coaching is an art form. I've been a coach since 94. Okay? Ever since 94, I've written in a coaching journal. You see and I'll guarantee the better coaches, they're all writing stuff in it. You could see every coach who's worth their grain of salt. They've got a pad of paper and they're writing stuff down as the game is going, so they can reflect back on it for their next practice session. And again, the number of referee coaches that participated in training sessions. Number of reports that coaches write. 18% have written reports. 26 out of the 37 coaches have never written a report. Again, we need to look at practice as to what we're doing as a group. Because if I'm taking the time to if I'm taking the time to coach somebody, but I'm not putting anything down on paper in terms of what the next thing is or something for that referee to reflect on later, because I know from my own experience, referee might walk away with two items that I've talked about. Okay, what about other stuff that they're going to forget an hour or so after the conversation? Have to do a better job of writing the reports, and we've tried to do this as Advantage does a great job with it. Okay, we've also got an online system that's fairly easy to access, but again, it's some people writing emails. Produce it, but produce something on paper. One of the interesting things, KOT is a huge resource for us. Okay, and the society has taken a lot of efforts this year to really boost it and try to make it. Okay, the KOT itself is a huge opportunity for both referees to develop those referees, the younger ones particularly, but also for the referee coaches to practice the craft. So Lee is taking that ownership on himself to work with the referee coaches. We've got arguably 15, 20 coaches from outside of Northern California coming in to coach. Again, great opportunity to engage in 3 days worth of conversation specifically about referee coaching. So if you're a referee coach, and the society will pay for you for the hotel for the coaches, Friday, Saturday. Okay, we'll secure the funds so that the referee coaches are there for Friday for the session for Saturday. All right, because it's all about that. It's all about creating those opportunities. And the other thing too is Advantage is now in its second year. First year there was a few people that were engaging it. But we hope that this number changes pretty dramatically. If it doesn't, the society has to look at, is this something that we want to commit? Because it's costing the society $500. Now, there's me personally, I want to see every referee in here using it, because it's free for the referees to sign up. It's absolutely free. It's free for you to use it. But at what point do we say that the money that we're spending is not useful? Is that number when there's only 5 referees that are using it? $100 a referee. Okay. It's much easier to argue 30 referees are using it. Now it becomes an issue. Yeah, it's a resource that we're willing to put money to. And I'm not suggesting that we're not going to put money to it, but we have to, as the decision makers, we have to decide, is this something that we want to move towards or move away from if it's not meeting our needs? Okay. Things that this is, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but next weekend is the NDS, and at the NDS, there are 15 LRO chairs that are going to be meeting, and a lot of the LROs are not happy with USA Rugby. They're not happy with how the services are being, not happy with how it is. Me personally, USA Rugby is a resource for us, to serve us. We are not there to serve them. And we've done a good job as an organization of controlling our own destiny in terms of what we're doing and how we want to do things. That information with the rest of the LROs, and hopefully we're going to come up with a unified plan of ideas that those LROs are then going to go take back to their own organizations and drive their own organizations forward. Because there's 2 chains of thought at this point. It's the LRO that wants to control themselves, and I have a hard time somebody that's never run an LRO telling the collective group how to run their LRO. That's problematic for me, and I know from LRO chairs it's problematic for them. So we're taking the opportunity of the NDS to meet to discuss these ideas, to come up with solutions that we're creating. Okay. Here, the use of the LMS, the stuff that NorCal is choosing to adopt, this has cost no money. All of the software that we're using to run the streaming, the videos, all of the stuff to do the quizzes, it costs no money. It was all free for Google for Nonprofits. So that's kind of why we grabbed a hold of this. And right now it's meeting our needs. It's really 2 years into its system, and there's still issues, but we're starting to access it. One of the problems that we've had to face as an organization is kids don't use email. I don't know if you've ever tried to interact with a kid before and send him an email. It won't get it, but you send him a text and I've got replies back. So we've had to change how we do our practice. So and we've had to tell USA Rugby the same thing. We don't need emails from USA Rugby. When we tried to figure out who is taking the level 1 course, the level one course, great, we get bodies there. The problem is the bodies don't transfer into referees. They take the course, the referees that actually go on to referee one is less than 10%. Out of 10 people, you may get 1 that'll referee. So we're not doing, something's happening. So we found when we did the level 1 in conjunction with the tournament at UOP, people that participated, 8 of them started reffing because it was in conjunction with the tournament. No class time. Scott Wood, myself, a couple other referees were out there running. shadowing for a game, and then the referee was doing it. By the end of the day, we were not on the field. The referees were doing it, and they realized that they can do it. Forward, that has to be the model. We don't want to offer a level 1 without a tournament in conjunction. So the KOT again is a great opportunity to take a lot of inexperienced people field with a lot of coaches and get them working. So next year, our goal is to have the level 1 at the KOT. Right now, it's next week. Moving forward, we want that KOT to drive that referee recruitment by offering a level 1 course in conjunction with the tournament.
People take the class, and one of them's brave enough to take it. If we can push all 10 of them on the field right away, 4 or 5 of them are likely to be brave enough to rep again, as opposed to the 1.
It is, and it's an active recruiting activity. Okay, but again, part of it is community. Rugby would give us emails, but kids don't talk with email, so it goes away. So we had to. We switched over, and we actively started engaging the kids. So we used an app called Remind, and it's a text messaging service that, because it gives safety, so I don't see the cell phone numbers of the kids, and I send it out. So as a teacher, I never see the number, and I can choose to have that engagement, or I can choose to push the content. Effective. I can push the content, and the kid doesn't have to reply. It's just push, and that's for our needs. That's beneficial. Again, we can't force the kid to take it, but we can give them the information and make them have the choice. It's beginning to help in terms, and again, it's about changing practice. We have to maintain the times. Any other questions with this kind of data? Yeah. Having said that, one of the things that we need to recognize as a collective group, and I asked Stephen first if I was able to show it, okay? But what it does, once we get that collective video, now we've taken an opportunity that Stephen has learned from, okay, and now everybody gets learning, because I guarantee others are going to see that same issue. And so Lee and Lee have agreed that when we come across these videos that we're coaching referees for, we're going to ask the coach first, are you okay with us using this as a learning opportunity? Because now all of a sudden, that learning opportunity that was good for one person now becomes a learning opportunity for 30, 40, 50 people. And it creates an activity where there's a little bit of reflection, a little bit of response, and you learn from it. And that's what we want to do, is create those opportunities. Okay? Last questions, thoughts?
Guys, early in the season, whether you like it or not, everybody's kind of looking at it. We are, Paul said, arguably the best referee side in the country. I don't think there's a whole lot of